All right, we'll go ahead and kick things off. Again, but thank you guys so much for coming, as this is our fourth instance of the Leadership Symposium, a virtual webinar series. Seeing a lot of familiar faces and names. Very excited to have you guys back to learn about the next department on our slate today. So to take you guys through, in case we do have a few fresh eyes, the Leadership Symposium is an interactive, highly engaging virtual meeting that will allow you all to develop a thorough understanding of services and resources IWO has available to you and your organization. Our purpose is to share information to chapter and affiliate leaders like yourselves to converge and learn about IWO offerings. Formal introductions of the staff and departmental overviews will be shared throughout the series of webinars. As anyone who has joined us before knows, that GSA has played a vital part in helping us have this series. Earlier this year, a lot of ups and downs as we're all dealing with, but we were very excited to get their support to bring this to you virtually. It's one of our favorite things to do because it gets us in front of you guys, gets to put a face to a name, and introduce that. So GSA offers a full suite of software for local government, including CAMA, collections, and municipality solutions. Visit their website for more information at www.cama.io. So a brief overview for anyone who may be joining us for the first time in this series. What departments does IWO have? On the surface, that may seem like a very obvious question, but we are a little bit deeper than we even like to remember ourselves. We have quite a few different departments. A lot of it overlaps, but a lot of great areas of expertise. So, of course, we have our membership department, professional and development, meetings, marketing and communication, which is the focus of today, technology, administration, and professional consulting services. Now I'm going to go back one slide just for a moment. In case you have missed any of these, we have had episodes of the Leadership Symposium for membership, professional development, and meetings. Today is our fourth episode in that series of marketing and communication. So if you missed any of those three, head on over to our YouTube channel to check those out. We are recording this one as well, and we will post it there shortly and alert you guys as well, and a reminder for the upcoming series. So that takes us right into the thick of it, and I want to introduce Mike Ardis, the Senior Director of Communications, Technology, and Publications, to walk you through a little bit about what he does and introduce his department. So take it away, Mike.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. And kind of as you noticed on the icon that we had for our department, we work with every department and helping them, in a sense, achieve their goals on getting the information out about what's going on at IWO, whether it's meetings or membership or education. Our role is to help get the information out. And we do that in a number of different ways, and that's what we'll talk about today. Again, probably one of the primary things we're doing today, and especially this year with everything from COVID-19 and that people weren't necessarily at their offices, email has taken over even a greater role on what we do in getting our message out. I'll talk about email and website, and then the rest of our team will talk about the other parts of the department. To start off with email, as I mentioned in the next slide, what we use is a firm called Real Magnet, and it's kind of an involved or higher end email system. But what it does for us is it integrates with our database. So every day as we're updating our database, overnight it updates that list, and so we always have a current list. Probably if you ever have to work with an email service, one of the kind of things you always have to work with is making sure that your email list is updated. And so a lot of times, if it doesn't integrate with the database, you're always uploading a new database just to make sure that either your contacts are updated or the new people have been added. So, IWO has about 8,000 members, or I think it's 8,300 to 8,500 these days. Plus, we also have a lot of prospects and non-members, and those are people who've taken some of our educational courses or gone to our meetings or interacted with us in some ways. And so what we try and do is keep them up to date, and long-term our goal is to turn those people into members. So we send some communications out just to members, and then we also send some out to our more larger list, such as on every other Thursday, we have an assessing email that Keith will talk about a little bit. But that goes out to more than 12,000 people. What we try and do is everything from cover industry news and that, and also some local information from you people. But other things we can do with our email list is we have a series of what we call campaigns, whether when people are joining as new members, we can set up a series of sort of onboarding list where we welcome them as members. And then also we've recently in the last year set up our education email so that when people take courses, we can get the information out to them a lot quicker. So, I mean, for us, it works really well because it provides a lot of the solutions to what we need. For individual people or chapters or so forth, it's probably might be overkill. But there's other options out there, and just wanted to cover some of the ones that I'm familiar with. Constant Contact and MailChimp are also other email services. They both have various pricing levels. I know Constant Contact I was looking at has 20 to 45. Same MailChimp even has like a free one, and it's all based on the number of contacts you have in your database list. So if you're trying to do something for a local group or something, you can look at the various options to see, is that something that you can get by with, or because you can do things like send out newsletters or information to your list. While we have a kind of a high-end system, there are different options out there, especially if you're dealing with a smaller audience. And then the other big thing is just our website. Next slide. So what we do is again we use a content management system, and it works back with our database. So it's all tied together, and that's kind of the idea, is that it all flows together. So when we're keeping track of our members, on information, we can use that to the website. There's other things we've had to do, such as our research exchange and some other things that don't completely fit in. So you're probably familiar that you might have to have one login for the IAAO website and something else for research exchange. It's all kind of a little bit of a challenge being able to tie all the various systems together with a one login, and it depends on how our system works with theirs. So, but again, in the content management system, we talk about what IAAO does, but then we also have sections for like chapters and affiliates to try and list information about, their officers and so forth. Long term, we're looking at potentially a community option where we might be able to host websites or small microsites for various chapters and affiliates, but it's something we're looking at, and it's probably down the road. But I mean, in the immediate area, I mean, there are other options for people to do if they're still trying to set up a website. We've worked with different states on their websites just to kind of help them either set it up or just maintain it, just if they have individual questions, nothing long term, just because as I understand that a lot of times these are all volunteer basis positions, and so someone moves on from their website, and that's what happened in one case. The next person, it was kind of a challenge to find out what the previous person had done. So, but there are options out there, and everything from like WordPress has some, I think, free options if you post it on their site, or you can use WordPress and host it on a different site such as One-on-One, where they, you can have templates that you can use to try and upgrade what your account looks like. It kind of all depends on how much you want to spend on it, and how involved you want to be. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of options out there. Those are kind of the two major electronic options or vehicles we use that I'll go over. The one other thing that not really listed here, but that we get a lot of questions about is it's a little bit different this year with the conference. But in the past, I'm sure that anybody who's gone to the conference has seen the mobile app we use, and that always has a lot of information about the conference. And again, that's kind of it's a firm that we use called CVent, and again, it meets our needs. It can be a little more involved, but there are, I think, some options out there. I know a lot of times chapters or groups will have local meetings, and they're always wondering, in a sense, how could we do something similar to what you have? It's a little more challenging, but there are a couple lower cost or free options out there on trying to put together some, whether minimal mobile apps or just something if you want to get information about your meeting. So, that's one of the, I guess, good things about the internet is there's always a ton of options out there. A lot of times, granted, a lot of them maybe just free trials or something, but a lot of times you can find something that has a smaller option that's free, and then I think the company's idea is eventually that you'd move on to a paid or higher end platform. So, there's a bunch of options out there just to try and get your message out. So those are kind of the major, I guess, electronic vehicles we use. And I'll turn it over to Keith to kind of talk about some of our other printed and so forth vehicles.
Hey, thanks, Mike. My name is Keith Robinson. I haven't met most of y'all, but I've been in the journalism business for about 35 years and just now too with IAAO. I'm in charge of assessing info, which you're familiar with, goes out 2 times a month. And with that, basically, I'm compiling, looking every day while I'm doing other things, compiling assessor news and putting that together then twice a month. Fair and Equitable goes out 10 times a year. I'm a journalist, not an assessor, so I'm constantly and always looking for content from those in the know. And any way you can help me do that, that would be awesome. My email is in each issue. And for the journal, that goes out twice a year. That is academic, and that is way over my head. I'm really appreciative that I have an editor and Barbara who can kind of go through all that technical stuff. And it does get reviewed by peers, so I can trust that what's in there is accurate. And that's basically really quick what I do.
Thank you, Keith. We'll turn it over now to our Director of Marketing, Tammy Brown.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see so many people on the call today. My name is Tammy Brown. I'm the Director of Marketing. I've been with IAAO for 4.5 years, and I'm really excited to present to you today. I'm going to talk about several things. Social media, we're going to start off with that. Advertising, the logos, where you can find logos for IAAO, promotions, and then we're going to talk a little bit about newsletters. So, social media. IAAO has Facebook page, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. We try to monitor all of those channels. There's several of us in the office that do that. And we like to encourage our chapters and affiliates to also to join up and have Facebook accounts. Many do. Many have Twitter accounts. And then follow us, and we reciprocate with postings. And that helps get all of the news out to everyone in a fast, efficient way. If you have any questions about our social media accounts, just let me know. My email is brown@iwao.org, and I will also take some questions after I'm finished here. So if you have any questions, just put them in the chat and we'll try to get those answered. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about our advertising. Most of our chapters and affiliates do not take advantage of our advertising. I know it's not a cheap thing to advertise in either fair and equitable or assessing info, but I did want to put it out there as an option. If you have an event or something that you really do want to get the word out to your members, then that's an option for you. I'll just briefly show you where our media kit is located. If you're on our website, you can click on the next slide. You can click on the resources button down to publications and then fair and equitable. And then you'll just find on the next slide is down at the bottom, you'll see advertising rates and specifications in a circle. I just wanted to make you aware of where you can find that information. And that's where you'll find our media kit. And the next slide shows that you can see our rates and the sizes of advertisements, and then there's also a contract form there. All of that you can fill out online and send it to us. And not only do you find the F&E advertising information there, but you also find the assessing info advertising information there as well. So it may not apply to 90% of our chapters and affiliates, but then again, it might apply to a few of you. So I wanted to give you that information. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about our IAAO logos. If you also follow our website down to resources and IAAO logos, you do have to be logged in as a member of IAAO to see this next page. But as you can see, there's the logos. We offer JPEG, different file options in color and black and white. And there's also our logo use guidelines, how you can use those and when you can use those logos. I would encourage all of our chapters and affiliates to have their own logo, and that is a little bit different from the IAAO headquarters logo, just to differentiate. I can't say that word today. Differentiate? No. Anyway, to set your logo apart, or your chapter and affiliate apart from IAAO, the headquarters IAAO. And then next is some promotions. We just recently had a request from our new BC chapter for some promotions. So we started a Develop Locally, Grow Professionally campaign where we can encourage professionals in the assessment industry to join local chapters. And this is something we put together for Greg McHenry is the subject of this one, and talks about how Greg developed locally through his local chapter. So we are trying to promote local chapters and affiliates. And I think the BC chapter is taking those graphics and they're going to put their own logo in those and be able to use those in their social media accounts and on their website. So that's something we can certainly help chapters and affiliates with. If you're interested, again, you can send me an email, or you can send me a question in the chat, or right now, anytime. And then also I wanted to talk about newsletters, and I'll get a lot of questions about how do we create a newsletter? How does our local chapter create a newsletter that's efficient and not very expensive? Obviously, we don't all have large budgets to hire a graphic designer or a news reporter like Keith to develop a newsletter for each of the chapters. So MailChimp is something that Mike Ardis mentioned earlier, and MailChimp also offers customizable templates for email newsletters. So they have free options. The next page shows that they have different options and prices for all of everyone's needs, from free to $2.99 a month. So that's a great way to just put together a quick and easy newsletter. It's easy to use, and send it out through your own email or through MailChimp, actually. And again, some of those options are free. So that's a great way for the chapters and affiliates to use free resources to get their word out and get information to their members. I'm going to send it back to Daniel. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tammy. And like she mentioned, at any point, feel free to shoot a chat question in for any of the information we've covered. We'll also kind of regroup at the end and prompt you as well. So feel free to let us know if you have any questions. We're happy to let you unmute and discuss anything you need. So that takes us into our technology manager, Sean York, and I will turn it over to him.
Thank you, Daniel. Real quick, I just want to talk about Iwo Connect. I'm sure all of you have heard about it by now. I recognize a lot of names from our online communities already, so that's great. If you haven't checked it out, you can visit it there by going to www.iwo.org/connect. This is our online community platform that's hosted by Higher Logic. So as Mike mentioned earlier, we use Real Magnet for our email communication, and a few years ago, Higher Logic actually acquired Real Magnet. So a lot of what we use is under the same umbrella of a Higher Logic product. They've been really aggressive over the last few years with acquiring various association technology platforms to kind of put it under one umbrella to be a one-stop shop for platform integration. So it works out well for us because, as Mike mentioned, it's not always the easiest to find a solution that works with existing platforms without having to start from scratch. So having that interface and that interconnectivity is really big for us. One thing Mike mentioned earlier, as well with all of our platforms, is the various costs, and obviously budgets can vary drastically. One thing to keep in mind too is a lot of these platforms will do scalable fees based on your operating budgets as well. So you'll be able to get some of the same features that a big company might be able to get, but they're going to charge you a lot less based on your budget. So I know some of the platforms are more contact based as far as the number of contacts you have. That's what they're going to charge you, but also a lot of it can be budget oriented as well. This is something that as we've gone over the years, we've done a lot of investigating. I'm the technology manager here, and I'm closing in on my 6-year anniversary with IWO here in a couple of weeks. And over the years, we've done a lot of work with upgrading our platforms, including Iwo Connect, which used to be AssessorNet. Part of that is just a lot of investigating and going out there and doing product demos and having conversations with different platforms. So we've done a lot of legwork with that. So as you all are looking to do any sort of new initiative within your organizations, don't hesitate to reach out to any of us, because one, we can at the very least can put you in contact with our rep that we have with these existing companies. I've had a few conversations with some of you over the years with what we're using, what those fees look like, and what the experience has been. So don't hesitate to reach out and have those conversations with us, and we'll be very upfront and forward with what that experience has been like, good and bad, what those fees are, and like I said, we can pass along that contact information, or we can also make suggestions to other alternatives as well. Marketing, communication, technology works very closely hand in hand, and as you can imagine, it's evolving pretty rapidly, especially in this association space. There's a lot more focus in these now, and there's a lot more money going into developing new products and making things better all the time. So even if we don't have the answers for you, we can definitely put you in touch with someone that can get that information for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean. Really appreciate all the information we've shared today. I know this is something you guys probably see a lot on the surface. You see the social media posts, you get our emails and our communication out, whether it's around a specific event or just general information about IWO throughout the year. So we're really glad that you guys kind of take a peek behind the curtain to see what makes those communications and those posts possible. Obviously, we live in a very digital world, and we want to just be able to communicate with you guys as efficiently and quickly as possible. So we're excited that you got to see a lot of that today. But as we reach the end of the presentation, we wanted to open the floor up for any questions you guys have. Whether it's about the actual processes that IWO uses, if it's you're thinking about doing something or running your own little campaign for your specific event or group, and want some best practice questions, any of those, feel free to either send it in the chat, and I'm happy to read it out loud for any of our teams to be the best to answer that. Or if you want to unmute yourself and just ask questions, I know there's a lot of information covered today, so we'll open the floor for any questions that you guys have.
Well, I'll pick on Tammy then. And so we currently, in the Massachusetts chapter, we do have a website that we update and do that sort of stuff, but we don't have any of the other, Facebook and LinkedIn and all that other stuff. Do you find one, as we get started, do you have one that you would suggest we start with?
Oh, I think you could probably ask 5 different people and you might get 5 different answers. It's not my favorite, but probably Facebook. I would imagine that's a great way to start. I belong to a couple local chapters here, not that are not affiliated with assessment, but that's how they got started, was with a simple Facebook account. Yeah. And I would say Twitter too. They're just quick and easy. You can actually link them. Whoever has the password you can post to both of them at the same time. They're friendly together, and so that's one great way. And it's just easy. Everybody has it on their phone now, so it pops right up. changing the chapter meeting from Tuesday to Thursday. You get that information out there in a moment. So
Right.
I would suggest Facebook or Twitter.
Okay. How about age-wise, like U40s? What are U40s more apt to be on versus us old people?
I don't know, because I'm not young anymore. I'd have to research that one and see what's got the most.
Yeah, that's we're all aging out, unfortunately, and so we really got to get people interested with the chapter that are gonna take it on. So I was just kind of thinking, trying to get to that U40 group is important. Okay.
I would imagine it's YouTube, or U40 is maybe for. I would imagine, just because Facebook's been around longer.
Yeah.
Older, older generations, maybe younger for Twitter, but that's just what's in my head. I don't know for sure. I'd have to actually do the research on that. So
yeah,
that's also a case for having more than one channel too.
Right.
So not just doing one channel, pick two at least.
Yeah. I have found just personally that, my age group, we're email crazy, and, the younger crowd are texting everything. So it's a little hard to, I send emails to people that work in my community, and, I don't hear anything back. And, but if you send them a text, they're right there. So I know that it makes a difference.
There's actually programs that you can download. Be careful with some of them, because we had a program here that we used, I think last year at conference, that Joe Heater suggested, and it sends a text message to multiple people, although it didn't work very well. But I know things change, and so there's actually apps that you can download, and so you can send one text and you can send it to 10, 15, probably 50 people, I don't know, but that could be an option too. It's a little more private.
Yeah, not bad. Good, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for the question.
No problem.
And I see we had a comment here, from one of our attendees from Tara, saying that she's not an expert, but she's under 40, tends to spend most of her time on Instagram with a little bit of Twitter. Personally have deleted her Facebook, but always at the least used those three. And that's a great point. I can say, just from my experience, use what you're comfortable with. They can be very simple programs and to use on the surface, and they can get very elaborate the more you want to do things. And maybe in one of your meetings, put out like a quick little survey and be like, who has Facebook, who has Twitter, who has Instagram, and if maybe all of your group has one, and that might be a great place to start. Like Tammy mentioned, it's a really great way to have that group to easily be to send out that alert and that message, and people can get updates on times or places and things like that.
I'll add to that, as Daniel mentioned, with surveys can definitely tell you a lot about your audience, and we leverage surveys a lot. But also when you're rolling out any new initiative, especially when it's technology driven, always think about beta testing before rolling it out to the masses. I think some of you have probably participated in a beta test of some sort, whether it was for a Connect community or a volunteer program or something. But yeah, anytime you're doing an initiative like this, go to some trusted people that would be happy to provide feedback for that platform. It's something that we've learned time and time again. As we're doing a build out, as we're investigating how to do something, it's important to remember who the end audience is, and so getting it in their hands to test it out. We always learn something that we didn't think about, and that we're really glad that we did that, to be able to incorporate it before sending it out to the masses. Because we have one set of experiences as association professionals, and obviously our members have a different set of experiences and expectations as our members. So doing that sort of rollout of surveying and testing really helps kind of bridge the two, the two approaches to things.
And if I could jump in too, I know Tammy said you ask 5 different people, you'll get 5 different answers. So I'll put in a plug for LinkedIn. The thing that I like about LinkedIn versus, say Facebook or something is LinkedIn is kind of the business side of who you are and what you do. And so it's easier to make connections with the people that you work with or you network with, but aren't necessarily Facebook official with, kind of to speak. So I really enjoy LinkedIn. I use, Tammy puts so much great content on the other social media stuff that I'll take that and just put it on my personal profile on LinkedIn just to try to get, more penetration into the market, so to speak, So when she puts something out on Facebook with, talking about the education courses, I can put it on my personal LinkedIn page and maybe reach a different audience. So you can do it a lot of different ways, but for me personally, for work stuff, for those networking opportunities, I really like LinkedIn.
That's great. Thank you, Ashley, Sean, and Tammy. Like I said, Tam mentioned, different, ask everybody individual, you'll get a different answer. And we have, I think, a nice spectrum there. It covered a lot of the channels, and that's really good. And I think Ashley brought up a really good point, to your question, Lane, that, as you two different audiences. So as you look to, say you guys are building your social media presence, say from the ground up and you're starting here, share that material from your group post on your personal account to raise that awareness so people can know about it, learn about it, and then learn to follow that, and it's kind of knocking out two birds with one stone. And especially when you put out great content, like Ashley said, Tammy creates so much good, content that we can share, and it's nice to put it out as many places as we can. So great question though. Great question. All right, looking here. Do we have any other questions? Anybody? We like to usually drill Mike with some questions, so if anybody has any.
Well, I had one thing. So when we were talking about the various email platforms earlier, some of them, I think like MailChimp and so forth, will also have a survey tool. So if you need to use something like that, it may depend on the level that you're on at MailChimp. There's also some other survey tools out there too, but and again, it's the nice thing is depending on, if you can use something minimum, there's some probably free tools out there, and then depending on where you are, that you can, obviously the more you spend, probably the package you have is going to have a lot more tools.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. Looks like we have a question here. And this will be for anyone in the department. Do any of you have suggestions for how the new diversity and inclusion task force can be helped by IAAO staff, I believe? And the question's in the chat if you guys want to take a peek at that.
And that might be one area, and I don't know if we've set anything up yet, and just in our community, but there's different areas that we can allow people to, or set up as, in a sense, a community for people to talk about issues, and for all of our members to reach out and use. So we can look at that as a potential area for people to comment and just provide suggestions to the task force, if we haven't done that already.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. All right, taking a peek here. Any other last questions? And just as a reminder for everyone, in case we have a few trickling in here, this was recorded, so feel free to revisit this. When we put it up on our YouTube channel, we'll definitely give you guys an alert. But revisit it. You have questions after, you think of after the fact here today, or a week down the road. Feel free to shoot us a message, email any of us. We'd be happy to get it in the right hands or answer it for you if we are capable. Here to help. We can't do what we do without the support and enthusiasm of you guys in your individual groups. And it's, this symposium is made for you to open the door for you to see how this works, how we can help, and how we can learn from you guys as well. So it's a give and take, absolutely. So we really appreciate you guys coming in week in and week out. I want to do one final thank you to our sponsor, GSA. Again, we typically do this event in person. Couldn't pull that off this year, but we didn't want that to stop us from being able to reach you in this virtual series to share what we do, especially with, like Sean mentioned earlier, always looking to find better practices and better systems to utilize what we do. So we are ever changing as well. So we're excited to be able to speak with you guys virtually to share exactly what we're up to at the very moment. So thank you to GSA for making all of that possible. But without any other questions, we just want to send a big thank you to the Marketing Communications Department for your presentation today. Sharing a little bit about what you do means a lot, and we're happy to continue this great program, and we'll be back again next month. So we want to appreciate everyone for coming. Have a great afternoon. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot us a message. We'll be happy to answer this for you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.